to LNUR Line episode 13 on Lego train sets. We'll start off by introducing the LNUR members on the podcast this time. So we have Will.
Hello.
Chris.
Hello.
John.
Hello.
Henry.
Hello.
Luke.
Hello.
Andrew.
Yep.
And Levi.
Hello there.
And we'll move on to Lego train news. So first off, because he made us do it, we'll have a shout out to Chris, who appeared. His Glasgow Brick subway layout appeared on the Glasgow Live newspaper. Well done, Chris.
Please, no flash photography, please. Stop. No, no, please.
And now we never mention it again. Okay. Next up, we've got Andrew talking about the FX Bricks track release.
Yes, so this is something that FX Bricks have been kind of teasing and working towards for quite a while. We've seen kind of samples and that sort of thing, but finally, in the last sort of week, we finally got some movement. So firstly, we started seeing a few kind of blogs and things getting sample packs to review. And sadly, LNUR wasn't one of them, unfortunately. We don't have any samples to review. But yeah, some people have been showing their first thoughts on the finished product of these new tracks. I should probably say what they are actually. So FX Bricks or FX Track are producing some new metal railed Lego compatible track to work with the old 9-volt system. And they're made the same way as the official track. So it's injection molded plastic with the metal strips stamped on the top. And they're going to be producing some new Lego track geometry, like larger radius curves, and then hopefully moving forward some larger points as well. So that's going to be great. So we've got the reviews of the new pieces. Generally, the quality seems to be really good, like basically on par with the official track. The slight issue with the curves, apparently some of the curves are kind of tilting on their side slightly. Don't know if that's just an early production thing or whatever, but it's not too bad. One of the features they've included in the new track, which is really nice, I've got just an official track piece here to point at. The studs on the end of the sleepers have actually got the type of track molded onto them. So instead of the FX logo, it's got like R72 or S32, that sort of thing. So that's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw the reviews of the samples, and then finally 2 days ago, as of recording, the 14th of February 2021, there's an announcement from FX Bricks with a video and the blog post saying that they're finally going to be releasing the new track on the 1st of March 2021, and they're going to be releasing the S32 straights, followed 2 weeks later by R72 curves, and then 2 weeks after that R88 curves. And in the video, they as well as announcing that, they kind of generally talked more about their overall philosophy about what they're trying to achieve. And really, they're just aiming to get a product line which more matches a conventional model railway system. So emphasis on using the metal track for the power in that regard. And it'll mean that in future, you can use like different types of power systems, controllers, that sort of thing. But then they also announced that hopefully later this year, they're going to be producing a new 9-volt motor bogie to work with the track. And this is basically going to be a like-for-like replacement of the official 9-volt motor. So that would be fantastic because obviously the 9-volt motor is getting pretty old now, having not been produced for like over 15 years or so. So that's great news.
Thank you, Andrew. We will move on to Henry with some more news about tracks. This time it's Tricks Bricks.
So Tricks Bricks have just released 4 new pieces and sets. These are the left and right R56 switch and a left and a right pass-through for R56. And both, you can see photos of both either on their Facebook page or on their shop. And what this allows is for a parallel loop of R56 to cross over a double track section and follow a curve of R40 round, which will allow for much smoother transitions between tracks parallel in one direction and another.
Great, thank you, Henry. Mr. Block Junction Will has some product releases he wants to mention as well.
So after much waiting, I have finally released the instructions for my Pullman Saloon brake and Pullman Saloon car.
I've seen on Glasgow Brick Subway.
Yes, as advertised by Glasgow Brick Subway. They are available on blockjunction.co.uk. Should be able to see the advertisement there. They are £10 each, and yes, after much begging and demanding, I have finally broken down and done what is probably my most popular piece of rolling stock.
Class 66 next, obviously.
Well, yes. I mean, all you have to do is all you have to do to turn it into a Class 66 is to I haven't shared. Never mind. all you have to do to turn this one into a Class 66 is take the corridor off, put some windows on, and get a big black felt tip and go, it's a 66, honest gov.
That'll do it. Okay, thanks, Will. Finally, in LEGO Train News, the Brick Train Awards are still open for entries as of the recording date of the podcast, which is the 16th of February. So they're open until Friday, the 28th of February at midnight in whatever time zone you're in. Check out the categories. There's 13 categories to enter. Some of them are a little bit quieter than others at the moment, but I suspect they will fill up. So off the top of my head, I think special wagons and individual displays and group displays are a little bit quiet. The T-fold section seems to be pretty popular. I think we'll be announcing the winners on Friday, the 5th of March.
Yes, that's when it says you are on the website and all social media.
I have to say, I really like that little American T-fold display that
I think
around
somebody
a couple of days ago.
The builder had posted that in LEGO Rail a couple of weeks ago, and I remember saying in chat, I hope they submit that. It's a really nice little display.
I mean, frankly, that'd be a decent push for like normal for the normal individual display. That one, it's really nice.
Yeah, it would. I think the quality of the T4 models is really high this year, and the other models as well. So I'm sure we will be doing a separate podcast about that at some point. Okay, we'll move on to LEGO ideas. So I am going to spotlight Will.
Great. I'm going to try and get the screen to actually share this time. There we go. Right. So first off, I need to. We would like to push the Stevenson's rocket, which has been mentioned before. This is designed by friend of the podcast, Steve Mays, and it would be really nice if we could get this one over the line because I want a big creator steam train, please. So, on to the ones I'm actually talking about this week. First off, we have your inevitable weekly Polar Express. This one is simply titled Polar Express by a designer called Steel Rails. Currently has 274 supporters and 416 days left. And I selected it because the coaches look pretty accurate and very nice. And the locomotive, whilst not looking like what I know the Polar Express to look like, just looks like a really nice American loco that is somewhere between the big ugly things you normally see and the little pretty things from the 1800s you normally see. So I would like to see that just because that's a different American engine to the ones you normally see in LEGO. Next one we have is probably heavily inspired by the Crocodile. The electric locomotive SB BE 4-6 by Loco Driver 97. It's certainly, it would work, it would complement the Crocodile a lot because it's obviously from the same stable as the Crocodile and it looks very nice. It's arguably slightly better than the Crocodile because the wheel arrangement is like the real thing. Not sure it will go very far, but I just thought it was worth highlighting because it was a nice adaptation of the Crocodile theme to a different, distinct locomotive. That one currently is very fresh and currently has 33 supporters and 59 days left. Next we have everybody's favorite Pacific 60103 Flying Scotsman.
Ooh.
What caught my attention with this one is it looks like somebody went, what if I designed Isaac's A3 but I put brick build lining instead? The answer is the lining's not as good, but it's quite a good effort. This one is very much sort of your 6 wide scale locomotive, so it would fit in better with Lego City than Lego's own steam engines generally do. And I would very much say that this could be marketed towards kids and people who collect Lego City who aren't that fussed about trains, but still not upset the grumpy rivet counters like me. This one is designed by somebody called Zybzu27. Currently has 216 supporters and 412 days left. Next we have the Modern Railroad Station. And what I really like about this one, I'll actually tab the pictures a bit, is it is the only time I have ever seen anybody create the full station package. You've got the platform, some canopy, you've got the building itself, and you've got a car park, and you've got a transition to normal ground level that doesn't look like, oh, I forgot about normal ground level. I think it's just nice. It would fit in quite nicely with a little bit of adjustment with the modular system. It's about the same scale and detail, and it's a really nice little building as much as anything else. You don't have to like trains to want to buy it, and because it's got everything, it's self-contained. You don't need to plug it onto a railway for it to make sense.
It would be a great roof slopes pack as well.
Oh God, yes. But no, the only weird thing is the oddly positioned signal on the top of the roof. But you can't have everything. No, I just think it's a nice set. That is designed by M7 Rock 3468, who's probably most famous for doing that weird American ghost train, and has 184 supporters and 407 days left. And finally, we have the Orient Express, and I have to say, I want to see this.
I love that.
For no reason other than to watch Lego sweat when they have to build a Pacific with 8 wide coaches, because oh boy, that is not an easy thing to design. Unfortunately, the profile picture doesn't give it a lot of give it justice. I like the fact that the guy has used unusual wheels for some of it. I don't know how well it will hold the rails, seeing at the moment it's only got 4 flanged wheels on the engine. I think Lego would have to modify the rear wheel to be a normal Lego wheel for it to work. But I like the fact that the driving wheels use a Lego element that is available for Lego that isn't BBB wheels, because they're great and all that, but they have the minor disadvantage of not being sellable by Lego. And the coaches are frankly brilliant, but huge. That's 8 studs wide. That's what 8 studs looks like. Sorry, 10 studs wide even, not in 8. It's massive. But I'd love to see Lego try and make that practical. And I'd love to see the fan backlash when we have yet another blacksmith on our hands.
I do like, are they pearl gold hot dog sausages on?
Yes, they are. I would also like to see those exist.
That's cool.
Yes, so those would make brass details really easy to make. So that is designed by Let.Esgo. Has currently 2,777 supporters and 582 days left. And whilst I think none of these will make it as per usual, if you could support this one just to give Lego the headache, I will love you forever.
Okay, thanks, Will. So I'll move the spotlight while I remember. So the topic of the podcast is Lego train sets, and I've asked each member to bring one or a couple of Lego train sets in whatever state they had them lying around the house. So we're going to try and do them in a rough chronological order, although there are some gaps. We seem to have quite a large gap between 1975 and 1991 in the chronology I've got, but better than nothing anyway. So we're going to start with John, who has a very early Lego train.
Thank you, Richard. It's very special to me because this was actually my first Lego train, and I got it for Christmas in, I think it was 1970 or possibly Christmas 1969. And it's the model 120, which came with a circle of track and used the 4.5 volt system, obviously with a battery box. And it came with, I've only actually got one that I can put my hand on, but it came with 2 of these tipper wagons, which are really quite good because you could put sweets and things like that in it, go around the track and tip them out. And I'm sure I was below the recommended age for this set, but it was something that I remember quite well, and I've kept all the pieces, and I built it again about 20 years ago, and decided to keep it built and have it as a kind of an ornament, which I promptly packed away. So yeah, really nice to see how this model from 1969 works equally well on the modern Lego track, which is a great sort of a great accolade to the system they use.
It is that. I think that's the nice thing about Lego, is that you can use bricks from the 1960s and stick them to bricks that are made today most of the time. Sometimes they might crack or peel, and also run trains as well. So we'll move on to Henry, who has quite an early Lego train as well.
So I've got train 171 from 1972. It is slightly modified because the original set didn't come with the motor and battery box installed. It was just a push-along train. But this also came with one of the hopper wagons in a slightly different colour, as well as this one meant to be representing some logs, and just a standard open one with gates, which means you can also put small things in and then push them out at other points around the track. And it also came with a circle of track. That was it.
Great, thank you. So I think we need to go back to John now, who has a set from 1975.
Yeah, this is the time when Lego started to get build a bit more automation in, and got a little bit more adventurous, shall we say, with the models. Now, the model I've got is not complete. It's a friend of mine gave it to me, a friend I used to play Lego trains with, I might add. It's number 182. I brought the tender along and a few items from the locomotive to show you. The tender has moved on from the 120 model. Both of these hold batteries, but the 120 model held them in a 7 wide format, and the same size batteries, the what was probably called the
C class.
Yeah, at the time we used to call them something else, but anyway. And then this one holds the 3 of them. It clips off, and you've got 3 batteries pop in there. And part of the automation is the fact that you've got a switch on the side that was stop in the middle, forward and reverse, which could actually be operated by this trackside triangular shaped piece. So the train would run up to it, automatically it would push the switch the other way, and the train would start reversing or moving forward. So they started to introduce these features, including, in fact, although I think this came with it, I think the signal came with it as well, a signal that operates with a ramp in between the tracks. And this ramp pushed a button underneath the battery box to stop the train if the signal was at danger. So they started to get a bit more sophisticated, and not only with the battery system and the controls and automation, but also the locomotive itself was the first big Lego steam engine. I use big in the sort of comparative term. And they started to introduce the normal 4-wheeled bogie, 4-wheeled motor that you find on the 120, and added these extra bogies at each end. So basically it became an 8-wheeled locomotive, a 242 if you like. And this obviously allowed you to build a bigger engine if you wanted to. Another feature I liked about that particular engine, apart from its size, was clever use of Lego's own pieces. This piece here is a black train engine, train wheel from the time, and that was actually used on the front to create some kind of boiler detail or smoke box door detail. So yeah, there was a sign that Lego were moving in the direction of real model railway type trains rather than just something that fitted in with the system. And I think it's probably, of the 4.5 volt sets, 182 is probably my favourite.
Thank you, John.
If I can just interrupt, were those batteries U11s?
HP 11s. Maybe the same.
The old name.
They were ever ready HP 11s at the time. I remember having to beg my parents to buy them.
Okay. I have a contribution, which is the Metro Liner. So I've only bought the rear passenger car, not the powered bit, because that was all I could find. It's been sitting in a box for quite a long time. So this was actually out in my childhood. I think this was 1991, if I'm thinking right. And it was re-released with there was another set. I can't remember when the re-release was. Does anyone want to chime in?
Frozen. You're right, Kai.
Cut
You
out.
froze for us.
You cut out, Richard.
Your t-shirt's too yellow. I'm sorry. You have to start again, but naked.
Hang on. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Seems to be okay, yeah.
Typical. So I'll start that bit again. So this was a set that was out during my childhood, although I would have been, I don't know, 4. It was about 1991. And it was one I really wanted, and I never got it until I hit my 30th birthday. So it came with another end like this, which was powered with a 9-volt motor and a passenger carriage in the middle. And you could also extend it with a club car, which was a double-decker carriage, which is very popular and incredibly expensive on Bricklink at the moment. So it's a really nice set. And one thing I loved about these was the cab ends, although they are quite a precast, sort of pre-molded part, they had working lights. So you got yellow lights in the direction of travel, which I always really liked. Okay, so I think that came with a loop of track as well, the kind of basic setup with quite a nice platform, but a fairly basic platform. Okay, who's next? I think it's Luke with his yellow freight train.
Yep.
See if I can find you.
Right next to me. Oh, amazing preparation. So this technically isn't mine, it's my dad's, but this is one of the train sets I had the most fun with, just because it was one of the first I actually had to hand. So this thing, it looks like some of the diesels you get today, but knowing that this is kind of like how it, or where it all kind of came from, it's actually quite amazing. It's not perfectly detailed. It's not one-to-one to how it looked when it first came out. I had to rebuild this a few years ago. But still, seeing something from that age, just bringing it in comparison to everything else that came along, it's just so cool. There is opening doors on the side, but I've never been able to get these open. The bricks are so old and stiff. But yeah, I'm not a diesel fan. I love steam locomotives more, but this is a gorgeous looking diesel. I have a special place in my heart for this one. With those other sets and kind of how sets today also kind of just come along with 3 bits of rolling stock, I was able to rebuild these, and looking back at them, some of them are all right and some of them are kind of simple. So the simplest one of the 3 is a sort of small flatbed of sorts. It does come with 1, maybe 2 of these crates. Again, the crates are rebuilt to a bit of a shabby display. But even then, just a simple flatbed, again, for its time, isn't too bad. This one does rotate, so you can connect it to a ramp, and a small forklift would take the crate off. And even then, just the playability of that, I think, looks really cool. The next one, I think, is probably my favorite piece of rolling stock I've got. It's a small hopper, but it has some Technic pieces that let you open it out to the side. And I think that's really cool. Again, the playability factor where you get to drop in loose bricks, you take it somewhere, you go around the loop, you get to turn it, just getting hands-on. I think that's just really fun. Again, I think these old pieces here, it's something I've never really thought about using. I think I've only got them in 1 set somewhere besides this. But it's not something I would think of. And when you go to rebuild something like this, you go, well, you know what, that's a good idea. I could probably interpret that to something I could make in the future. Old sets coming back to life and bringing some ideas. I think, again, that's really cool. And the last piece of rolling stock that came along, again, not fully or accurately rebuilt because it's missing a door, but a good old box car. And just seeing the shape and the colors as well, because it's in blue, I think looks really nice. Being able to get inside as well is, oh, that's a bit interesting. Again, having built this over a year ago, I haven't touched it in a while, but I just discovered, or rather rediscovered, on one side, it's got its own sort of Technic system. Okay. But even then, just more playability as to why these sets were so good, because you don't really get that much with the modern train sets in comparison. Yeah, you got a few things, but it's just so much simpler. yes, this was simple for its time, but even then, I'd rather play with this than some of the modern train sets. Love it so much.
Great, thanks.
Very
Luke. I
excellent,
do like the playability of those, and the
Yeah.
tipping mechanism is really cool.
Hmm.
I think we're
I don't build rolling stock often, so that's something I would never think to do. I'd probably just end up brick building it and keeping it static.
Yeah, we need some proper post office wagons with the baggage swap functionality in.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to Andrew, who's got another 9-volt era train to talk about, I think.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about a set that came out in 1996, so only 2 years after the one Luke just showed. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me. It's at my parents' house. But this was the, if I just swap the camera around, I'm filming the screen, so hopefully it looks okay. This was the cargo train set from 1996, and it was my first ever Lego train set. If I zoom in a bit on here, you can see it's kind of a passenger train, not based on any particular prototype. The unusual thing about it is that you have the motor unit kind of at the front there, and that's articulated from the rest of the first carriage. So kind of half a bogie, half separate vehicle. It uses the same cab pieces as the Metroliner. And then the two carriages have these removable pods, which are like the passenger compartments. And it came with this little ramp and this truck, so you could actually move them on and off the train. So that was pretty good playability. And also these little compartments in the ends of the carriages also have removable pods, which were for freight. So yeah, it's not too bad in terms of an introduction to the world of Lego trains for me.
And the typical ratio of curves, the straight track as well.
Absolutely, yes.
That set had great playability, but it was far removed from any real train in the world.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, I think we're back to Luke, who's got the Christmas train from 2006. Am I right?
Yeah. So this is another set that I had rebuilt a few years ago. It's got a few pieces missing and there's some inaccuracies. But this, if you tried to get one of these today, you would have to pay stupid money. But at the same time, it's such a desirable set with everything that it comes with. You will near instantly understand why. So the locomotive itself, it's nice and small. For the time, again, it kind of makes sense. But if you rebuilt this today, you could definitely get away with using some medium-sized Big Ben bricks wheels for the part underneath. It's just a handsome-looking little locomotive. Even the tender as well, just for what it is, I think it looks quite remarkable. Again, some pieces missing on the side, but just for the shape of it, the whole kind of color and character that the whole thing brings to life, it's actually really remarkable. So this set, I think this set came with the most pieces of rolling stock, that being 4. The first one is a passenger coach. This should have 5 windows going across the side instead of 4, but sadly I lost one of them, so I had to compromise. But even then, just the colors they use, the shaping, it's somewhat similar when you compare this to the I think it's the My Own Train coach that comes to mind for me when it comes to the shape and the overall design of it. But just because it's something else, it's something more. It has its own character. The Christmas theme, I think it looks really nice. There are interior details. It's a bit tricky to see in there. Some pieces, again, are missing, but even then, it's its own thing. I really like that. Another thing that came along with them is a long open wagon. This was used to hold a bunch of toys and presents. I don't know about anybody else, but once we saw the toys and presents, like the presents in particular, it's just a small brick and a plate, different colors. We made loads, stacked them in a big bag, and just chucked them in here until it absolutely tipped over. Because again, it's more excitement that this sort of set brings out. Think, oh, I got an idea for something I could put in this. That's really fun. And there's a piece missing. That's all right. The third one, which is the least complete, which is a bit of a shame, but even then. With any Christmas train, I think there's going to be a wagon that carries Christmas trees or trees of some kind. It's much smaller than you would probably want it to be. If you compare it to the other open wagon, having 2 longer pieces, I think would be nice. But at the same time, it's like you can compromise, you can mix and match however you like. And again, sadly with this one, I don't have all the pieces built up. I don't have any of the trees. But knowing it's a thing, I think is really cool. And the last piece, the 4th piece of rolling stock, which is I think one of the most popular ones. I don't know if I saw that somewhere, but it is a Caboose. Now this near enough is a 1-to-1 copy of the My Own Train one. I don't know which one came out first. I think this one came out after the My Own Train set, but you can tell by the shape of it, obviously the caboose is near enough the same, but it was such a handsome piece. Obviously it had to come back somehow. The green and the white and the colors overall, again, the overall character that this set had just made it look so nice. It was amazing just to be able to rebuild this and to put it all together, which I sadly can't do because I don't have the appropriate space for it.
That'd
But
look
just
good
seeing that
behind the
all
Emerald
in-
Knight.
Yeah, I've seen some people put cabooses behind Emerald Knights, and that's just wow, don't do that.
Will really likes that.
I
Yeah.
like almost as much as how that double-decker coach somehow finds its way onto every high-speed train ever made.
But yeah, that is the 2006 Christmas train, one of the best train sets in my opinion, just because it has so much with it. It doesn't come with any track or any control, sadly, but again, for just train pieces, I think it's really cool. Such a good set.
It's pretty cool. That is one set that's still on my list as a completion.
If you tried to buy one today, you are going to have to fork out triple digits, and I'm guessing the prices are at least £150 because I looked for one a few years ago, and it is genuinely just stupid money. I don't know why people sell them at those prices because it's never going to be sold at those prices, but oh well.
One day.
One
Okay.
day, yeah.
We have Levi next with the, I can't remember the set name, the red passenger train from 2010, we thought.
Yes, so it is quite literally just called passenger train. It was a sort of two ends, one middle coach. Unfortunately, I don't have it either the other end or the middle coach due to a unfortunate accident with my brother and some stairs. I've never let him forgive. I've never forgiven him for that. It's never been rebuilt. This itself is missing several bricks, and the other two are missing windows. So that will be a bricklink order at some point. But it was one of the first few proper power functions ones, with there being one remote control one back in, I think, 2006 with the black and yellow control. I got this back in 2012, I think, for Christmas, and I strongly remember sort of Christmas Day going off to my room and building it in about an hour or so. I think it's one of the fastest, bigger sets I've ever built, and I was only, 8 at the time.
Yeah.
You're all old.
Very old, yeah.
At this point, I think I've scrapped every other part of it other than this, just due to the fact I wasn't going to build it. So it now lives in my other models.
Cool. Thank you, Levi. So I think it's my turn. I have, this was actually, I think, one of the first Lego sets I ever bought as an AFOL. I can see it's missing a couple of parts. They've fallen off in the box I was storing it in, I presume. So I think this is the, am I right in thinking this is the only set with a red battery box as well? So it's
Yes.
stupidly priced.
Yeah, they made it
stupidly
especially
priced,
for
stupidly
it.
rare.
But it came with a sort of selection of wagons and a looper track. And I think that came with a point as well and a siding because it's freight. And that was one of the sets that got me back, along with the I can't remember whether it was before or after the yellow freight train, which was
Yes, that was the year before.
Yeah. So I got those around the same time, and those got me really into Lego trains as a 20-something-year-old at the time. I think I had those on my bedroom floor for longer than I would like to admit. Okay, so where are we going next? I think we're going back to Luke because he's got the Horizon Express, which is one of my favorite Lego train sets of all time.
I think this set was a pleasant surprise. I don't remember seeing much about this at the time of it being released besides a video on YouTube by one of the designers. And again, me being someone who prefers steam to diesel and electrics, I thought, you know what, I've got to get me one of these because this looks really cool. So this is a set like the 2018 City set where it's one end unit and two coaches. And it's just so much more detailed and it's so much more attractive to look at and to play with and to build than any other trains that I've played with besides the Emerald Knight. This is just remarkable. Again, when you look at the details, there's some things that, I would never think to do. Like building sideways for these arrows here. These are tiny cheese wedges and 1x1 plates with these sort of clips on them, and it's sticking to kind of like those minifigure staff pieces, all built sideways. Again, it's sideways details I would never think to do. Some upside down building at the front as well, just something that's all cleverly done where it all slides in and locks into place. It's brilliant. The only thing I didn't really understand, I've never been one for power functions or powering anything in general, but being able to get inside and add a power functions motor was one thing. But the motor would be facing one way, and if you had both these, or if you had two ends next to each other, the motors would essentially be running against each other. So eventually I thought, how the hell are you supposed to figure that out? So after a while I thought, sort of, I can't be bothered to figure out because, you know, it's too much for me. But all the same, it was just a handsome set. The end units were one thing, but the coaches were something that I kind of went a bit overboard with. So I bought 3 of those sets, and my bank account is still hurting to this day. But the sets, the coaches are still handsome pieces, and I think this is the first set since the, what was it called? You know those open wagons from the early 2000s? They had a bogie connecting the 2 coaches in the middle.
No, the intermodal ones.
Intermodal, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first one since then to have something like this, and I don't think anything else since the Orient Express has done anything like that. And it's again another thing that seems so simple, but it's not commonly done. I haven't seen that amongst most mocks, but then again, I'm not really looking out for most models. For some interior details, it's some things that I would love to be able to try myself, but again, as someone that doesn't build a lot of rolling stock, I don't really give myself the chance. Looking inside, some of the details are quite simple. You've got your seats, of course, and we have a lavatory area, which I think is quite cleverly done. Got a door that actually moves and the space for the toilet. It's just so well done. This was the first of the creator experts, I think it was. It kind of introduced creator experts. So introducing details like that kind of really steps up the game for how things are done. Going into the second coach, we have more of a seating arrangement, and then this end we have a small bar, which I think is quite nice because I don't know about the real locomotive that this was based off of, so I can't say how accurate it is in comparison to the real thing in terms of the internal details, but just seeing more of this, seeing that it's so build up, you can add more minifigures, add some life to it, it's just spectacularly done. I don't know if you could get away with buying some more nowadays because this was one of the higher quality train sets, and because of that it's going to be another stupid price set. If you have one, build it up and treasure it because this is, again, really good.
Yeah, it's a really great set. The answer to the motor conundrum there was Lego sold a power functions polarity switch so that you could reverse the motors running off the direction of the motor.
Could you only do it to one of them?
As well. My one, which was fully articulated, I put the Jacobs bogies on between every carriage, except for obviously the ones butting up the logos. I used the longest available 9-volt cable that exists, and literally had it attached on the battery box at one end, trailed all the way through the train, and attached to the motor at the other end, along with lights at both ends, so it had red lights at the back and white lights at the front. It was very spectacular, very powerful, and amazing to watch every time it fell off the table, which, because it's a fast train, it did a lot. I became extremely good at rebuilding the Orient Express.
I was going to say, the conundrum of having the motors go in the wrong directions, other than having the polarity switch, you could just turn the motor around and have it on the front bogie rather than the rear bogie, and that would switch the direction.
Yep.
The only problem is you then have cables that go in the wrong way. The cable snags if you've got it going over the motor. It makes the thing.
I mean, you might be able to modify the undersides to make it fit.
There's enough room for everything inside to actually move around for it to actually go around the corners.
I may have.
Or just go 9-volt. Yeah, that's an easier option.
9-volt is the obvious solution.
Was that the last brick built nose that was on a high speed?
High speed wise, it's about the only brick built nose.
No. Well, high speed wise,
it is
yes, but
the last one because it was from 2013, and the previous one would have been Levi's train from 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the red 12-volt one would be the last time you had a brick built nose on a high speed train.
It looks
probably the only other time, actually.
Okay.
Did Lego ever sort of admit that it was supposed to be a TGV, or is that just something the AFOLs?
Oh, they admitted it. I mean, they didn't have the rights to sell it under the name TGV, so they didn't.
TGV and everything.
In the same way the Emerald Knight is the Flying Scotsman.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, there's a lot of argument about that on the graphics crap. But...
I'm sure that will fill a whole hour later in the podcast. Probably.
Yeah.
Reasons this is not a good model. Chapter
moving-
1.
Moving on with our very patchy chronology of Lego train sets. Oh, it's me again.
Boo.
So we have, talking of high-speed passenger trains, the literal name of this set was high-speed passenger train. So you got this locomotive unit and then 2 carriages, quite similar to the TGV setup, the Horizon Express setup, in that there was a kind of passenger area and then a sort of a buffet area as well. Not quite as detailed or nicely modeled, probably, as the Horizon Express. But you've got a cab area. This was also in the first range of powered up train sets. And I remember rushing to buy 2 of these and building them the day before traveling to Manchester for a Lego show called Bricktastic, so we could run the train set as a new set for kids to see the new set running on shows. Nowadays, we don't really run sets on the layout unless it's the play out.
There's only one train that one set that routinely runs on that at the moment, actually.
But it's a really nice set. I know people aren't keen on these brick built on the molded cabs, but I think in terms of kids playing with them and building them, it makes them a bit more durable. And if you want to crash them, they're pretty good for crashing as well, Chris.
I mean, me.
And it's also got a built-in bit for the light fixtures, so you can light it up if you want. So it's not a bad set. The only downside of most modern passenger trains that Lego does is the passenger carriages don't have doors, which is a continual complaint from the AFOL community. And actually, I think, do Lego maybe underrate the playability factor of having doors on carriages? Because I remember as a kid playing with Lego trains and opening the doors and putting passengers in and out. I think it would be kind of an almost cheap win for them. But okay, moving on. We've got 3 sets left. So we've got, talking of AFOLs having a moan, we've got Chris coming up with the anniversary train set. So let's spotlight him.
Make yourself comfortable, everyone.
Oh, woe is me. So in early 2020, when you were allowed to actually go to Lego stores, I went and got this thing. Chuff, 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 chuff. That's a noise steam engines, mate. Because I went for a
Glorious noise too.
which was also a big disappointment, 2020, and I didn't build that either. I built this yesterday, so I can bring it. It's based on a set from 40 years ago that no one...
7810.
Yeah. Yeah. But, like, it's not a major set. It's not a major anniversary of a particular era of Lego trains. It was an odd choice. It's a nice free gift if you spent over 70 quid, I think it was. It's black and red. It's not as superior as a Gronk.
It's about the same level.
The beauty of these is everyone who got them, if we all hold them up together, it looks like we've got every steam engine from GWR, because they all look
Only if they were green.
well, from a distance. It's dark green. It's in a shadow.
Is that a pannier or a castle? I don't know.
I've got some information on this other screen, which I'll pretend I haven't got, so I look professional and know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, there's no info on it. It's just the pictures of it.
Okay, Thank you, Chris. Move on to Will, talking of assholes who like to complain. And he's got 2 sets. So
3 actually,
go
you
for it, Will.
forgot one.
Oh God, 3. Right, we'll
You
be here.
forgot what is probably still, despite its somewhat motion deficient state at the moment, my favorite Lego train set of all time.
It is an awesome set. I think I've
It's,
got 3.
Until, spoiler, the crocodile came along, there wasn't a set that Lego had released, a train set that Lego had released, that was a patch on this one for replicating the real thing. And it wasn't a perfect replication of it because, well, for a start, that livery is entirely fictitious, and these had 6-wheeled bogies, not 4-wheel bogies, but it just looks great. And it's really clever. And I can't remember if mine's actually got the detail in it or not. We'll soon find out. Oh, yes. It's got an engine, complete with random spanner attached to it. It was a really great set. One of my first wagon mocks was just the wagons off this in a different color, and they look great too because it's such a brilliantly designed set. And then they and then everybody goes on about Emerald Knight like that's a thing that's good.
I think the thing I really liked about the Maersk set, as well as the containers, which were nice brick built things, and you got a satisfying number of containers.
Yeah, it's a decent train.
Was the tractor and trailer unit for carrying the wagons. That was a really nice design as well. And yes, I had to buy many of them.
Yeah, I came into as an AFOL, I came into it quite late, and it was already a very sought after set. I got incredibly lucky. I got an unopened set for £125 about 5 years ago, which even then was spectacularly cheap for this set. And nowadays, bear in mind, it's £125 for a locomotive, 2 coaches, 2 trucks, no track, and a lorry, and no power at all. The reason mine's got no wheels is until super recently it had 9-volt motors on it. At some point we're going to modify the train and the loco so that the train is 9-volt powered rather than the loco, but we haven't done that yet, hence why it's currently sat in its forlorn state. So, and that was released in 2011.
16.
No, 2011 according to this, according to Lego.
Oh, okay.
It goes for about 200.
I'd say if it was 2016, I wouldn't have had to spend 125 quid on it because I was AFOLing then.
One of the things I liked about the Maersk loco, just before we go on, is obviously there's some similarities with the previous locos they've done, like the BNSF one, the dark green and orange one, and also Santa Fe. But that one, they've actually extended it quite a bit beyond its sort of regular base plate length, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
yes,
it's a long and chunky loco for a Lego.
It really makes a difference.
It's a really satisfying build as well. There's some nice techniques in there.
It's a long time since I built it, but I remember enjoying it quite a lot.
Everyone's mispronouncing it. It's pronounced Maersk.
It's not Scouts.
Yeah.
2011. 2011, according to the Lego.
Yeah, it must be about then.
So anyway, moving on to more recent sets, we have from 2019 the Disney train, which for a very short while, replaced the Maersk as my favourite Lego design, despite its unique design features.
It's supposed to do that.
Yeah, it's because Lego went, bogies work, so we'll just do.
They do.
Yeah, we'll just put a steam engine that's all bogies, but it's not a modern American steam engine. It's a very old steam engine.
There's nowhere for the driver to stand.
Well, yeah, Mickey Mouse did have a slight issue that he would get thrown out the cab if you went around too fast. I felt that was part of the charm. So this is a rare example. It's dumb as far as trains go. The rods are bizarre. It's the wrong color compared to the prototype. But yeah, I can't deny it. It's a fantastic looking set.
It is nice. The carriages are really satisfying to build. The caboose and the passenger.
Yes. Well, this is
they're 8 wide as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Carriages.
Yes, 8 wide. Sorry, it's a bit dusty. It's been sat in my room doing nothing for a long time. waiting for me to give it the Andrew Harvey treatment. But no, it's just a really great looking set. I've only run it in anger once. I got it just before Shildon, and I panic built it on the Friday night to get it ready to go on the playout on the Saturday, and then I panic built the station on the Saturday night, and got nowhere near enough sleep, which was a mistake for that the next day, to have it on the playout for the Sunday. And the kids loved it because it looks great. The adults loved it because it looks great.
It is.
Unfortunately, mine again has the same problem as the Maersk. It had a 9-volt motor, and then I took the motor out and haven't replaced it with the original gubbins. But it came with a locomotive, a somewhat weak tender, a very, very theme parky coach based on the coaches that actually run in the theme park, and to me, probably one of the best bits of Lego rolling stock ever made, this observation coach, which
is really nice. It's a great model.
Isn't it called like the director's saloon or something like that? The presidential parlor, I think it is.
I mean, like, I love how they put together those seats, especially the round one and that one there. Absolutely beautiful piece of work. So it was already a nice train. It came powered, which is unusual for a set like this.
Powered by your remote, though.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel that getting rid of the remote and lopping that off the price and just saying use the app, which is free, in this day and age, is not a bad thing. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of time for people who go, oh, but I want my remote. Well, pay fucking £20. Sorry, pay £20 extra and get your remote, because it's £20 you don't need to spend on this already expensive set.
I think the problem is, though, if it's a set for kids, and it's probably unlikely that, you know, if a 8-year-old kid wanted a £300 Lego set as their train.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, for kids, yeah, right, 300 quid.
But then
I'm going to say this now. My nephew would have no problem at all downloading the app and driving it.
No, but it's more about are you excluding kids from poorer families because they don't have a smartphone to run it on?
Are you excluding kids from poorer families with a £300 Lego train set?
That's why they're poor.
Yes, you are.
That's why
long before they try and control it, you've already excluded.
That's why we're all poor, because
yes.
Can I point the elephant in the room with this set, other than the lack of a remote control?
Lack of track? Oh no, it comes
with
track.
Yeah.
It also comes with, sadly not pictured here, a beautiful station.
Basically, so it's Disney, so obviously a lot of people collect Disney and love Disney.
Yep.
And it came out at the same time when you could buy the Disney minifigure surprise mini bag things, whatever you call them.
Collectible minifigures.
Collectible minifigures, yeah.
The one you couldn't get, surprisingly, was Goofy. You couldn't get Goofy.
Yeah, but you can get it in this set. Yeah,
you can get it in this set. It's the only way to get Goofy is to buy the £300 set.
Yeah,
I don't even like Lego, and I've got a Goofy. I know you're not getting hold of him.
I think that's absolutely disgusting. It's not a new thing. There's been loads of different toys over the years where you collect them all, but one of them only comes in the most expensive set.
I'm sorry, that's
Lego do that all the time.
I know, but it's
every time they bring out a UCS set, they bring out another Darth Vader that everybody wants, which is slightly different.
Well, if you're stupid enough to buy all the Star Wars stuff, you deserve to lose.
Batmobile comes with the Michael Keaton version of Batman with the massive rubber head and cape that doesn't turn. You can't turn your neck.
The Batman when he wants to look up, who has to do this.
The only way you can get that is buying that incredibly expensive set. I think that's a good thing, to be honest. I think it's nice that you spend all that money and you get a little exclusive minifig. The only problem I have with Goofy being an exclusive minifig is who cares? Goofy, like, give me an exclusive Mickey, fine, but Goofy.
They could have done a sort of pearl gold monochrome mini or Mickey or Minnie or something, couldn't they? But...
You're giving Lego an excuse to turn into Hasbro, and you should be ashamed.
Lego are already Hasbro. They just
bigger.
Expect you to assemble their toys for them.
Okay, so we did. Henry has thought of a couple more we could have added. So
we've still got the crocodile.
Oh, okay. Let's
I
do
mean, we
Crocodile
can't
and then
forget
go back to Henry.
what is probably the nicest Lego train ever built.
Yeah, I agree there.
It's definitely up there.
Ta-da! It's I mean, what they've done is they've managed to do something which I never thought they would achieve, which is utterly cock up the wheel arrangement, and I'm not bothered. I mean, I'm really not bothered. I told myself I was going to rebuild the hell out of it as soon as I got it, and it has not changed since I built it because it doesn't need to. It looks great. Because I don't run train sets anymore, it'll probably never move.
It is.
But it looks
It's a nice
fantastic as a display
yeah.
piece.
Yeah, it's
The
lovely.
presentation is really good. That track piece is
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I love the track.
Although I have one really big gripe about that track. As somebody who builds brick built, ballasted and sleeper track, I would kill for 1 by 1 dark brown tiles.
Wouldn't we all?
Why did they do plates?
Yeah.
Also,
Because they
somebody
knew
wants to
people
do
would want
somehow
it. That's
like
why they thought, yeah,
Fuck.
sod you. You're not going to get the piece that you want.
It's a
open
shame.
net, own goal.
I also think that's actually quite. I know it doesn't have a motor with it, but actually the loco itself is great value for parts alone.
Yes, when they first announced it was
Yeah.
what, 75 quid or something like that. I bolted
Yeah,
it
70,
twice.
80 quid.
75 quid or 80 quid or whatever it was for a single loco. I was like, that isn't powered.
Mm.
Are you mad? But
It's a shame
it's
they
worth
left
every
those
penny.
gaps.
Mm.
It's worth absolute every penny.
Yeah, there are those gaps, but there's fixes.
It's £90.
90. Oh well.
It's still
it's
worth
one of
every
those
penny.
I
gaps,
think it's worth it.
but
and that.
it's such a simple fix. Why they didn't try and hide them better, I'll never know.
Probably because when you are a complete novice and you're trying to get it around Lego curves, those just might get in the way. Although that's no forgiving the fact that they tell you in the instructions to put the bands on the wheels for traction, even though no reason for it,
Yeah.
and that literally derails the locomotive. The number of people went, "Oh, this is rubbish. It doesn't go on Lego track." And then Jan Bricks puts out a video, goes,
Yeah.
"How do I improve my loco?" And just takes the rubber tires off, throws them away, and goes, "There you go." How it works.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go back to Henry. So he's got the green cargo train, which is I presume the powered up one.
Yeah, I'll start with the Hogwarts Express because that came out in 2010, but Richard can't read chat,
That
so we're
is-
doing it now.
That isn't quite focusing, Henry. Hold it a bit further away from your camera.
It doesn't make it look better.
Yeah,
It's fairly terrible, isn't it?
yeah.
I just say that version of the Hogwarts Express, there's been many versions of the Hogwarts Express. At least that one has train wheels, because I had the first Hogwarts Express that came out right after the first movie. It didn't even have
Yeah.
train wheels.
Yeah.
Wasn't the
Yeah,
only
and then it
difference
came with this passenger carriage, which
It's
a
terrible.
couple of seats in.
Arguably the best passenger carriage of all of the Hogwarts Express sets.
Oh
I think all the
yeah,
other ones are
Very
quite
low.
but that's not really saying much.
Is that the one that if you put track underneath, it wouldn't fit underneath the bridge?
the most recent one.
Possibly,
Is that the most recent one? Yeah.
not sure. I don't have the most recent one, so I can't test that. So yeah, that's not a popular set in this group.
Or amongst humans.
Yeah, it also came with the Flying Ford Anglia.
Not terrible, but
I
I
think
think there's a
been
nicer
busted
version in
for-
the new Privet Drive set, isn't there?
I
Yeah.
think
It looks more like those invalid carriages that you used to see driving in the 90s.
Oh, the Motability.
Yeah, the Invacars.
the best one of those was the one that came with the castle that also had the Whomping Willow. The Privet Drive.
Oh,
from what
yeah,
I
that was
understand, is
great.
not quite as nice as that one for some reason. Very similar build, but apparently it's not. It's just a little bit weaker.
Yes, and so then there's also the Green Cargo Train, which came out in 2018 and which was the same year as the powered up train Richard showed earlier. So it has the motor on the back and the powered up battery box inside. And then I've also modified it so it has the lights on the front. And then that came with 3 wagons, one of which was this short 4-wheeled wagon with 3 logs on, and they have the chains on which works with one of the other wagons. Then you have this wagon, which is another four-wheeled one, the flatbed, and it's for these two container wagons to go on, one of which has an Arctic ice scooter thing, and the other bank one opens up, and you can remove that with the forklift that also comes in the set, and put it with the bank lorry that comes in the set and also opens up.
That
And
is
then the last
better than you
wagon
get, actually.
is
Sorry.
this crane,
No stickers.
and you've got on the bottom, you've got these, which, if it's on the track, do actually align with the floor, assuming it's flat. You've got those on each side, and the crane does work because you've got a knob on the back to raise and lower the arm, and this one slightly below the arm to do the string.
Cool. I do like working cranes.
Yeah.
I've got,
And then it, the bank truck it came with just opens up on the side like that. And it also came with a circle of track, one set of points, and a signal box with
oh, it did.
a
Yeah,
signal box with a signal that you can turn from
I don't know about you, but that
red to
signal box
green.
was just awful.
I just couldn't get my head around why did somebody go, right, we're designing a freight train. What do we need? We need a bank lorry and a container with banknotes in it.
I guess
because
it
they
ties
included
in
a
with,
thief.
yeah, it ties in with Lego City, doesn't it?
I know, but
Yeah.
it makes the inevitable helicopter wagon that certain train sets have look kind of sensible.
Bank train, silly.
A bank train with a breakdown crane and a wood truck. And a,
Totally makes sense.
and a water jet ski thing.
I need
Ice
to make a
scooter.
deposit. I hope the bank train's here soon.
At least we can say it doesn't have a helicopter on a wagon.
Oh,
I still like that set, even with this.
Yeah, it's not a bad set.
Yeah,
The nicest looking Power Functions loco, as far as I'm concerned.
It also
It was one of those old Hornby wagons where the helicopter actually, when you went past a little thing, it made it fly off. That would have been good.
Was that the Triangle, wasn't it?
Triangle, that's the one.
It was, and then you got the what was it? The giraffe that ducked.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
exploding
I want
box
to build
fan.
that Lego one day.
But you get lots of track with that set, which I thought was quite good. I bought the set and actually built it. I surprised myself. I really needed it for the power-up components, but I thought it was really good. I didn't put the stickers on, of course. Yeah. I like
Oh,
them.
of course not.
Yeah, I also bought that set and built it, and then immediately, and I mean the next day, took it apart to create the first pocket rocket. The last thing that survived from that set was the crane wagon because it looked kind of good in a preserved railway yard. But even that eventually got sacrificed to the god of I need more wheels.
Okay, so that's our roundup and sort of chronology, a very patchy chronology of Lego trains. We totally missed remote control trains.
good.
Most of the
12
volt.
9 volt Harry
Another set I was
Potter.
going to potentially try and bring up. It was about the hobby train, but I didn't know if it was worth bringing up.
So, yep,
We'll do
that's
that
it.
later.
We're going to have a quick intermission, and I'm sure we'll find some lovely hold music for you.